To give his girlfriend Emily a jaw-dropping birthday surprise, Ethan secretly set up a live stream and crouched inside the trunk of his car, ready to pop the question right then and there. He envisioned a picture, perfect moment filled with romance, one that all their friends and family could witness, a memory that would last a lifetime. But in a cruel twist of fate, the moment the car door swung open, Emily, flushed and out of breath, was forcefully pushed onto the car seat by a man named Jake. The car began to rock violently, and Ethan was so mortified that he didn't dare make a sound. At that moment, he desperately wished he were anywhere but inside the car, because the live stream was now broadcasting this scandalous scene to the world. Ethan, still hidden in the trunk, tightly clutched a bottle of champagne, his heart pounding with anticipation that quickly turned to horror. As Emily approached the car, he suddenly heard two voices, and before he could react, he watched in disbelief as she was pinned against the car window, gasping for air. He mentally cursed himself. He should have stayed hidden under the car instead. Watching their heated actions, he was struck by the cruel irony. He had planned this day to be the start of their forever, a day when he would propose and share their happiness with everyone. And now, the live stream he'd started was capturing every humiliating moment, with both their parents and closest friends watching the unfolding disaster online. Emily's eyes briefly met Ethan's through the tinted windows, but she couldn't see him clearly. She then turned to Jake and said shyly, "Let's get in the car." Panic surged through Ethan. If she got in, the in-car camera would record everything, and the live stream would expose her infidelity to all their loved ones. He quickly called her. She answered the phone, saw his name on the screen, and immediately said, "I'm in the middle of an important meeting. I can't talk right now." Before he could utter a word, she hung up and turned off her phone. Moments later, the car door opened, and the two lovebirds entered, locked in a passionate kiss. Jake pushed Emily onto the seat, and they seemed completely lost in each other. It was a nightmare. Every sordid detail was being broadcasted live. Ethan, lying stunned in the trunk, thought back to his original plan. It was supposed to be a fairy tale proposal. When Emily came downstairs, he'd opened the trunk to reveal a sea of roses, presents, and himself on one knee with a diamond ring. The camera was set up to capture her joyful surprise, and their friends and family were waiting at home, ready to shower them with confetti as soon as the proposal was a success. Now, it was a complete disaster. The live stream showed Jake stripping Emily's clothes off one by one. Jake smirked and taunted, "Why didn't you answer your boyfriend's call? Scared of getting caught?" Emily kissed him passionately and replied, "I'm not scared. If you want to play games, I'll call him right now." Jake laughed and pinned her down, saying, "You're such a wild one." Emily playfully retorted, "If we're going for excitement, let's go all the way." Completely oblivious, they lay in the back seat, unaware of Ethan's presence in the trunk. Feeling incredibly awkward, Ethan opened his phone and saw the live stream still running. The stream was password protected, but there were already over 100 viewers. Ethan knew he didn't have that many close friends, so someone must have shared the link to spread the juicy gossip. There were no comments, but he could vividly imagine everyone at home, holding cakes and confetti poppers, watching in stunned silence. The most absurd part was that he saw one account repeatedly sending him virtual gifts. It was Emily's mother, his would-be mother-in-law. She kept sending gifts because each one triggered an animation that covered the explicit content. She wasn't tech-savvy and probably didn't know that she could easily clear the screen or avoid the animations altogether. Poor woman, she was unwittingly spending her hard-earned savings to cover up her daughter's shame. Ethan couldn't end the live stream because it was running on the car's infotainment system. He needed to access the car's control panel directly to stop it. Just then, Jake finally noticed something was amiss. "Hang on," he said suspiciously. "Why is the car running?" Emily laughed and explained, "My boyfriend can start the AC remotely with his phone. I turned it on before coming downstairs so you wouldn't get too hot." Jake exclaimed, "Unbelievable. His cheap 100,000 yuan domestic car has this feature, but my 1.3 million yuan Porsche doesn't." Emily cupped his face and kissed him, teasing, "That's why you're in his humble car, having an affair with his girlfriend." Her words seemed to fuel Jake's excitement. He started roughly tearing off her clothes, biting her ear and saying, "You're such a tease." He lets you drive his car while he takes the subway to work every day, and you still talk like this to me." Emily moaned in excitement. "Yes, I'm a bad girl. Hearing you say that just turns me on even more. He's my devoted follower, but I'm all yours." Then, in an incredibly awkward moment, as Jake kissed her collarbone, he suddenly started singing, "The one who loves me is crazy about me, but I cry for the one I love." Heartbroken, falling apart, Emily giggled and kissed him back, saying, "That's right, baby, just like your song." Ethan was in shock. He couldn't fathom why someone would sing during such an intimate moment. Maybe it was their warped idea of fun, or perhaps guys with expensive Porsches had their own strange ways of charming women. But watching this live was torture, especially since it was still being broadcasted. He knew he had to do something. If the stream continued and crossed the line into explicit content, he could face serious legal consequences. Unable to hold back any longer, he coughed. Immediately, the two in the back seat jumped up in shock. When Emily saw him, her face turned as white as a sheet. Instinctively, she blurted out, "Aren't you supposed to be at work?" Ethan replied, "Today's your birthday. I took the afternoon off to surprise you." How tragic. All his careful planning and anticipation had led to this heart-breaking moment. What stunned Ethan the most was that he wasn't even angry. Strangely, not a single ounce of rage filled his heart. He had always believed that as long as they weren't married, it was just a matter of someone else stealing his future wife. After this debacle, there was no way he could still propose. In his eyes, Emily was already someone else's woman. And to make matters worse, he checked the live stream stats. There were over 1,000 viewers. Since the stream was password protected for close friends and family, this meant that classmates, colleagues, and relatives from both sides had all been invited to witness this scandal. It was as if everyone in their social circle, from work to school to extended family, had gathered to watch his humiliation. Sure enough, the elevator in the company's parking garage opened, and a group of people emerged, not looking for their cars but holding up their phones and staring in the direction of Ethan's car. Clearly, they had come down specifically to watch the live drama unfold. Emily, now flustered, saw the crowd outside and quickly said to Ethan, "Please, don't make a scene. All my colleagues are out there. Don't embarrass me." Ethan stared at her in disbelief and asked, "You still care about your reputation?" She replied coldly, "Well, since you found out, there's no point in pretending. Let's break up. I think I deserve someone better." Ethan asked, "How have I ever wronged you?" She got dressed, climbed into the driver's seat, started the car, and as she drove away, she said icily, "You've been good to me, I won't deny that, but I still believe I can do better." Once a woman has ridden in a Porsche, she doesn't go back to a cheap car like this. As the Porsche screeched around a corner, Ethan's phone vibrated violently. A flood of messages poured in from group chats. Screenshots of the live stream were circulating faster than wildfire. One particular photo made his blood run cold. A close-up of Emily's face, frozen in a moment of ecstasy, with the caption, "VP's mistress caught red-handed." Just then, his mother called. Her voice trembled with rage and humiliation. "Ethan, what on earth is going on? Your father's colleagues saw the stream." And Emily's mother, she's in hysterics, throwing things around the living room. Ethan could hear chaos in the background, the sound of shattering glass and shouting. Meanwhile, in the Porsche, Jake suddenly slammed on the brakes. His face was ashen as he stared at his phone. Shit. The company intranet is blowing up. HR is calling an emergency meeting. They're talking about an immediate suspension. Emily's eyes widened in panic, but she quickly regained her composure. "Don't worry, baby. We'll spin this. Say it was a prank video gone wrong." But Jake wasn't convinced. "The chairman's secretary just texted me. She said his wife is leading a mob to the office. They're demanding my head on a platter." His hands shook as he tried to start the car again, only to find it blocked by a swarm of paparazzi who had somehow caught wind of the scandal. Back in his car, Ethan watched in grim satisfaction as the chaos unfolded. He reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a USB drive. Unbeknownst to Emily and Jake, he had set up a secondary recording device that captured every sound and image inside the vehicle. This was his insurance policy, his ace in the hole. As they finally managed to push through the crowd and reach their apartment complex, the situation escalated. A group of Emily's friends stood at the entrance, holding signs that read "slut" and "homewrecker." One of them, a former college roommate, threw a cup of coffee at Emily, splattering her designer dress. Jake lunged forward, ready to confront the protesters, but Ethan stepped in. "Save your energy," he said coolly. "You'll need it for the police. I'm sure they'll be interested in that little accident you mentioned earlier." Jake's face paled at the reminder of their threat, but he tried to bluff. "You wouldn't dare." Ethan simply smiled and held up the USB drive. "I have over 1,000 witnesses who can testify to your threats, not to mention attempted blackmail. And that's not even counting the footage of you two confessing to other illegal activities." Just then, the sound of police sirens pierced the air. A detective stepped out of the cruiser and approached them. "Mr. Jake Thompson? Mrs. Emily Wilson? You're both under arrest for suspicion of blackmail, assault, and obstruction of justice." As they were led away in handcuffs, Emily shot Ethan a venomous look. "You'll regret this," she shrieked. But Ethan just watched, feeling a strange sense of calm. He had lost a girlfriend, but he had gained something far more valuable: the truth and the satisfaction of seeing justice served. Over the next few days, the story dominated the news. Jake lost his job, his marriage, and was facing multiple lawsuits. Emily's family disowned her, and she was forced to move out of the city in disgrace. But Ethan? He used the publicity to his advantage. He started a podcast about relationship scams, sharing his story and warning others. Months later, as he sat in his newly renovated apartment, Ethan received a letter. It was from Emily, begging for forgiveness. But he simply tore it up and tossed it in the trash. He had moved on, and he was ready for a new chapter, one filled with honesty, respect, and true love. Lily stepped out of the Porsche with her chin held high, as if she were a queen descending from her chariot. Her eyes gleamed with arrogance when she saw the crowd of onlookers and the cameras flashing. "See that, Ethan? Do you know what they're filming? This is the glamour of stepping out of a luxury car. Beauty, wealth, and adoration. This is the life I was born for," she sneered, her voice dripping with condescension. Ethan felt nothing but disgust well up inside him. "They're just gawking at a pair of shameless cheaters. You're nothing more than a sideshow act," he retorted icily, his eyes cold as steel. Rather than getting enraged, Lily threw her head back and laughed mockingly. "So now that your little plan backfired, you're lashing out like a wounded animal. I knew it. You were trying to steal my money. Too bad your cheap tricks were exposed by someone truly sophisticated." With that, she draped herself over Jake's arm and sashayed into the building, her high heels clicking arrogantly on the pavement. The neighbors gasped in disbelief and began to boo loudly. Jake looked around, bewildered. "Why are they making such a racket?" he asked, frowning. Lily shrugged nonchalantly. "I was with him for years. The neighbors all know me. They're probably just shocked to see me with someone new. Aren't you worried about your reputation?" She shook her head dismissively. "It's fine. I'm actually thrilled. These people have seen me get out of his cheap car for years. They must have looked down on me. But now, they've witnessed me stepping out of a Porsche with their own eyes." Jake stroked her hair affectionately. "Once I find the right time to divorce my wife, I'll buy you your own Porsche." Lily beamed and planted a passionate kiss on his lips right in front of everyone, which only fueled the crowd's jeers. She even shot Ethan a taunting, disdainful glance as she did so. Just then, the elevator door slid open, and the landlord stepped out. His eyes widened in horror at the sight of Lily locking lips with another man. "You tramp. I can't believe I rented my place to a lowlife like you," he roared, his face turning beet red with anger. Lily froze. "What did you just call me?" "I said you're a shameless harlot, a dirty homewrecker." Lily flew into a rage, but Jake held her back. "Don't waste your time on him, baby. You're moving out anyway. I'll book you a suite in a 5-star hotel tonight." Lily huffed. "They don't know anything. They're just assuming I'm a homewrecker." Ethan was stunned by her delusion. She was clearly in the wrong, yet she seemed completely oblivious. As they entered the elevator, Lily suddenly whirled around to face him. "Did you say something to the landlord? Did you tell him what happened?" "I didn't," Ethan said firmly. "Then why did he start cursing me the moment he saw me?" A normal person would at least ask for an explanation, but he just started yelling. "You must have told him. I'm telling the truth. He knew I was planning to propose. He even helped me carry the bouquet earlier." Lily seemed to believe him, but she still shot him a menacing glare. "You'd better be telling the truth. If I find out you've blabbed to anyone, you'll regret it, just like that janitor last time." Just as the words left her mouth, a police car screeched to a halt outside the building. An officer pointed at them and shouted, "Hey, stop right there." But it was too late. The elevator doors closed, and Lily's frantic attempts to reopen them were futile. "Guess they'll have to take the next one," she said casually. Jake pulled her close. "It's okay, baby. They can wait." Ethan rolled his eyes. He knew exactly why the police were there. Their confession about the janitor during the live stream, witnessed by over 1,000 people, including most of their colleagues, was more than enough evidence. If the janitor had indeed been deliberately run over, it was a serious felony that could land them behind bars for life. As the elevator ascended, Lily nestled happily in Jake's arms, completely unaware of the storm waiting for her. "I'm so happy. Once I move out, I can finally call and text you without hiding. Just be patient, baby. Once I'm divorced, we'll be free," Jake replied, pressing a kiss to her forehead. When the elevator doors opened, they were greeted by a chaotic scene. The hallway, once decorated for Lily's birthday, was in ruins. Popped balloons littered the floor, and trampled flowers were scattered everywhere. Lily's parents stood at the doorway, their faces pale with fury. Lily's smile vanished instantly. "Dad, Mom, what are you doing here?" The happy birthday banner still hung from the ceiling, a bitter reminder of what could have been. In a panic, Lily grabbed Ethan's arm. "Oh, you're here to celebrate my birthday. My boss just told me I'm getting a raise, and I got so excited I hugged him." "Don't misunderstand. No one was fooled." Her father flew into a rage, grabbing her by the throat. "Celebrate. I'll celebrate your funeral." He dragged her out of the elevator, and Lily turned to her mother for help with a pleading look. But her mother was consumed by rage. With a scream, she pulled out a fruit knife and lunged at Lily. Fortunately, someone managed to stop her, but the knife still sliced across Lily's face. "I gave you life, and I can take it away. I'll end this shame." Her mother shrieked, tears streaming down her face. Ethan watched in horror. Lily's parents had always doted on her, but now, the humiliation was too much to bear. Her mother was in a full-blown breakdown, and her father looked ready to kill. The situation quickly descended into chaos. Jake tried to intervene, but he was met with a flurry of punches and kicks. The hallway erupted into a violent brawl. Lily's father snatched the knife, his eyes wild with madness. "Your mother is right. We should end this now." Lily crawled away, sobbing. "It's a misunderstanding. Why won't you believe me?" Ethan stepped forward. "They saw everything, Lily. I live-streamed the proposal, and your affair was caught on camera." Lily's face turned ashen. "Then, the co-workers, the neighbors? Everyone knows. And so does his wife and the entire company," Ethan said coldly. Lily flew into a rage, grabbing his collar. "Why didn't you tell me? We loved each other. How could you do this to me? I tried to warn you. I called you, and I offered to help you pack, but you thought I was after your money. And after your threats, why would I protect you?" Jake looked stunned. "Then the calls, my wife, the chairman." Ethan laughed bitterly. "I guess your colleagues shared the link. And about that janitor, those cops downstairs are here for you too." Before they could respond, the angry crowd surged forward, attacking the cheating couple. Jake and Lily tried to flee, but they were dragged back and brutally beaten. Just then, the elevator doors opened, and the police rushed out. "Freeze. You're under arrest for suspected conspiracy to commit aggravated assault," they shouted, slapping handcuffs on the pair. Lily's mother was rushed to the hospital, but ironically, it was Lily who suffered the most severe injuries. Jake's violent grip during the scuffle had caused serious spinal cord damage, leaving her paralyzed from the neck down. She was completely helpless, unable to move or even control her basic bodily functions. Jake was sentenced to life in prison for his crimes, losing everything due to his prenuptial agreement and criminal record. As for Lily, her parents were too ashamed to take care of her. They attempted to abandon her multiple times, and it was only through the intervention of social workers that she was placed in a state-run care facility. One day, driven by a morbid curiosity, Ethan visited her. He saw a new caregiver, a woman with a stern expression and a bitter glint in her eyes. When Lily soiled herself, the caregiver flew into a rage, grabbing her by the hair and slapping her across the face. Lily could only lie there, tears streaming down her cheeks in silence. Another staff member pulled Ethan aside. "That caregiver used to be a janitor. She was hit by a car recently. She's here as a volunteer. People say she's helping others because she knows what it's like to suffer." Ethan understood then. He watched the scene for a moment longer before turning away. Lily had brought this fate upon herself, and as harsh as it seemed, perhaps this was the karma she had earned.